Hey guys, Allison here. What I want to talk about today is the difference between understanding the root of your problems and maybe the people who caused them and living your life in the blame game. All right. I found that for many devout Christians and Catholics, they're afraid to go to therapy and sometimes resist the process because they don't want to talk badly of their parents, their brother, their uncle, their teacher, whatever it is. They feel that that's not the right thing to do. But in therapy, it's a totally different ballgame. The goal in therapy, the goal if we're going to heal from our problems, is to understand what caused them. So it might be your parents' divorce, the fighting in the house, your dad's drinking, your horrible second grade teacher. I had one of those, and it wasn't Catholic school, just for the record. We can look at those things and see they had an impact in my life and be able to piece together why I respond to things the way that I do, maybe bring certain things to God for healing, wounds that we suffered, maybe traumas that need to be worked through in trauma therapy, and there's different modalities that can help you with that. But at some point, understanding where our problems come from or who may have caused them needs to now kind of yield to a new process, all right, of in all circumstances, give thanks to God because this is His will for you. For whatever reason, it's a mystery why God puts us in the families that He does. And not to minimize, some people have been in very, very difficult, dysfunctional, maybe even violent families. And we know that it was never God's will for the family to be that way. And yet, He allowed you to be in that circumstance because He's giving you the strengths to overcome it if you're looking for them. And I think that's the important thing. I mean, I've known some people who came from terrible backgrounds, but they made a decision that I don't want to be like that. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do those things. I'm going to learn how to have a better relationship. I'm going to be a better dad, or I'm going to be a better mom or a better spouse than my parents were. So they used it as that benchmark to say, okay, I didn't like this. What would I have liked? What is the good thing? Now, one thing I've always noticed is it's interesting in our generation, let's say, 50s and up, we've really kind of crumbled a lot. It's been really difficult dysfunction. And yet we look in like the World War II generation, the great generation, right? That many of them suffered a lot of trauma going to war, coming back. They didn't seem to have the same problems. But I think that society, certainly our culture, our entertainment, supported better values. All right, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family, you could turn on a Fred Astaire movie or a Jimmy Stewart movie and see how wonderful they were as men, how they treated women, how women responded. But now our culture has just given us we just glorify dysfunction. So it's really hard to kind of get a handle on what should life really look like if I want to be happy. So, like I said, I think that the people that I see that they may have gotten that insight in therapy that my problem is because of my dad's drinking or because of my mother's attitude or whatever it is, but they don't move on from there. And if you continue to blame others for your problems, you will never ever heal. You will never ever find happiness. You will always be tethered to that person. And that's where forgiveness comes in. That's where letting it go comes in. We don't know the whole story that led somebody to be the way they were. And it's not necessarily our problem, but we need to understand that there's something, things don't develop in a vacuum. And basically, forgiveness is relinquishing my right to retribution. All right, to kind of say, okay, you know what, clean slate here. Now, it doesn't mean that we always reconcile if somebody's been very abusive. There's a difference between reconciliation and forgiveness. But you need to cut those ties. They say if you're always angry at somebody, you're letting them live in your head rent free. So again, if you're struggling, if you've had a lot of issues, coming into therapy, and particularly Catholic therapy, it's okay to talk about how you really feel about somebody. It's not a sin. You're not putting them down. It's in that context of understanding and then working to facilitate healing, because that's the important thing. And often too, when somebody comes from a situation like that and they're able to heal, there's often a reverberation in the entire family. All right, everything kind of gets softened. I mean, sometimes it's just kind of like breaks the chain in the family. So again, if you continue to blame the people that caused your problems, your parents or whatever, you will never ever heal. So we need to work on that. We need to really be open to forgiveness, to letting it go, to looking at it from a positive and say, okay, with all these deficits I had, with all these things I had to struggle with, what strengths did I develop in response to it? All right. Sometimes people come from alcoholic homes and they're super observant about things. They make great detectives, right? Because they're they're used to looking for the cues and everything. Now we don't want to live like that in this hypervigilant state. But we could say, you know what, I got good at that. So I think that's another good thing to explore in therapy. What strengths did I get? Oh, can I even develop further because of the struggles that I had growing up? Really, really powerful, I think. So I hope you find that helpful. If you're struggling, and I know a lot of you are today, we're living in very difficult times, reach out to a Catholic therapist. It's different. It really is different because we bring the faith into the process. The whole goal is, of course, union with God, right? We want to get to heaven someday, and we want a relationship with Him here. And we got to also work so that we can have healthy relationships with other people, because that's what we're going to have in heaven, the communion of saints. So consider reaching out to a Catholic therapist. I'm putting a link below this video. I'm also putting a link to my free report, What Every Catholic Should Know Before Starting Therapy. Might help to demystify the process. Hope you find that helpful. Please share this video and like the video also. But share it with somebody who might be hurting, that this might be helpful for them. Hope you find that helpful. God bless you.